I want to have a conversation about this. So this is about those phone pouches that the schools have now. My kid's school has them. I did a video about them. They're these pouches that they give to the kids. They're called Yondr pouches by us. I don't know what they're called by you. I think that this company has kind of cornered the market on this stuff. It's this pouch that your kid puts their phone in, and then it locks. And they take that pouch with them throughout the course of the day, but they can't access their phone until they magnetically open the pouch. It's kind of like when they take the fucking tags off at the department store up at the counter. They put the tags on this magnetic thing and chunk, and it opens it up. There's one of those or a couple of those at the school. And after the school day is done, the kids can all walk up one at a time and open their Yondr pouch and be able to get their phone out. And I said that I understood why it's happening. I totally understand why it's happening. Kids are on their phone too much in school. They can easily look up things in school that could help them with homework. It's kind of also text messaging and Snapchats and whatnot between friends on a phone is the modern day version of passing notes in class, right? I get it. Teachers have always tried to cut back on that. And so I understood why it's happening. I understand why it's happening at my kid's school. But I also don't like it because of, as I was talking about, an emergency situation. What happens in an emergency? How do I converse with my kids? How do I contact my kids in the course of an emergency? Now, several people said, call the office and ask to talk to your kid. And this person here said, of the kid, walk to the office and ask to use the phone. I don't think you guys understand the type of emergency I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the kid feeling sick or something happened in the family and I need to get a hold of them. I'm talking about a fucking school shooting. Okay? That's when I say, what about in a case of an emergency? I'm talking about what happens far too often in our country, which is some fucking psycho walks into a school and starts slaughtering fucking kids. What happens? They're not walking to the office in that scenario. And when I hear about that on the news, that my kid's school is under attack, I'm not calling the office. Because I'm not dumb enough to think that there's going to be a secretary sitting in the office waiting to field parents' phone calls as some fucking guy walks through the school corridors wasting kids. So let's talk about this from a realistic standpoint, shall we? In the case of the type of emergency we all know that we're talking about, a school shooting, how do I get a hold of my kid? How does my kid get a hold of me? If my kid's phone is inside of a pouch that they can't get into until they walk up to the table that has the magnet and unlocks the pouch. How do I converse with my kid on the phone that I'm paying for, that I gave them to have so I can talk to them, when it's locked in that pouch? They're not walking to the office to use the phone. So that's the reason why I don't like it. Because we live in a country that, unfortunately, school shootings are all too common. And at any point in time, a disgruntled former student or some whacked out adult can walk into my son's junior high and just start taking motherfuckers out. Now, I know what my solution to the problem is. Obviously, better gun control legislation combined with making schools impenetrable. I mean, bulletproof glass, blast-proof doors, the whole shooting match. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where somebody can walk into a school and start firing. Unfortunately, we live in a world where while somebody is inside of a school killing kids, the cops are waiting outside because, goddamn, he's got an awfully big gun. It's for those reasons that I want my kid to have access to his phone. I said, I'm not going to do this, but it almost makes me want to send him to school with a pocket knife so he could cut that motherfucker open in case of something like that, where he needs to get in touch with me, let me know what's going on, get in touch with the police, something. Because these kids in these classrooms don't know who has and who hasn't reached out to contact the police, who has and who hasn't reached out to contact parents. They don't know because it's chaotic. They're under attack. No, I'm not going to send my kid with a pocket knife. What I am going to teach my kid to do is to look in each and every classroom that he's in for anything that he thinks he can use to rip that fucking pouch open in case of something like this. So no matter what classrooms he's in, he's already kind of identified, okay, there's something over there. She's got a pair of scissors. There's a thing. There's a this. There's a rusty corner here or whatever that I can fucking rip it open on. That's what I'm going to teach him to do. But I don't think I should have to, because I think they should have access to their phones. I think that maybe there should be a scenario where there's like a bin or a cubby up in the front of each class where everybody puts their phones in at the beginning of the class. They're out, but you don't have access to them. And at the end of the class, when you're walking out, you grab your phone and you leave. That's what I think is a better solution than these Yondr pouches. And my kid walking the hallways during an active shooter drill, or not a drill, an active shooter, to go to the office and ask to use the phone. We all know what I'm talking about when I say an emergency. Let's not pretend we don't.